alternative. Okay, so I'm calling to order this evening's meeting of the San Antonio Parks and Recreation Commission. Most of our commissioners are present, and we're also like to welcome Maddie, who's going to be making a presentation tonight. Ryan's here, good. Okay, so let's do a quick roll call with Vance Frost.
Vance Frost, present.
Good. Jan Wu. Jan is here. Yes, there she is. Mike Serio will be here shortly. Mike's been in touch with me. Jen Trahan. Jen, good. Ryan LaFrance.
Here.
And Eric Overa.
Here.
Hi, Eric. Good to see you. Okay. So has everybody had an opportunity to take a look at the minutes? Okay. I have just one change myself, which is under action item 7A. We want to strike the word towns and insert age friendly. So instead of it saying towns strategic plan, it'll say the age friendly strategic plan. So with that, any other additions or modifications? Okay, so with that, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as modified?
I motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, good. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, opposed? Everybody's opposing it, so the minutes are approved. So now this is item number 4. This is the open time for public expression. Christina, anybody from the public? Okay, we'll keep it open till the end in case somebody does appear. And that brings us to number 5, the parks report. Danielle, are we expecting AJ?
I was expecting AJ. I'll give him a text. Maybe we can move on and hopefully he'll jump on.
Okay, all right, let's do that. And actually, we'll go to Maddie, which is item number 6 on the agenda. So Maddie, the floor is yours. I know a lot's happening, so maybe you can bring everybody up to date.
Sure. Is item number 6 a program update, or is that the San Anselmo Live?
No, this is the San Anselmo Live and fall updates.
Cool. Awesome. Oh, both together. Okay, awesome. So I don't know if you guys have heard about San Anselmo Live, but backstory is we traditionally have done the Picnics on the Plaza music series on the Town Hall Plaza for 6 Friday nights in a row in August and the first 2 in September. And with everything with COVID, we were in a holding pattern until June 15th. Regarding events, because it just wasn't worth our time or effort with all the guidelines and modifications. And then once June 15th came, I had gotten word that the chamber wanted to do some sort of live music downtown as well. So instead of doing kind of 2 meal-pieced separate events, we decided to combine, efforts and combine our powers at be. And we came up, actually Danielle and Pat Townsley came up with this name, which I wasn't sold on at the time, but I totally love it now, San Anselmo Live. And we decided to do concerts on Fridays and Saturdays from August through September. So originally, it was thought out and we secured enough funding through sponsorship to do 1 night of music, either at Town Hall Plaza or Creek Park. And I was gonna kind of ping pong between the 2 locations. But as it turned out, both locations, restaurants around there wanted both locations, both nights. And it actually has turned out really well. So we have live music at the Town Hall Plaza and at Creek Park, Fridays and Saturdays, for 8 weekends in a row. So there's 16 nights of live music instead of 6, and 2 locations. So I have 32 acts that I've booked over the 16 evenings. It's cool because I booked 3 youth bands. So we actually had a high school band this last weekend at Creek Park with all high schoolers. That was really fun. And then I have a violin group that's coming to Imagination Park called Suzuki Strings, and they're doing live performances for the first time since COVID. And then I've got the Archie Williams High School Jazz Band lined up for later in the series. So that's kind of cool because we're incorporating these like youth programs or these youth, bands and music into this series, which we've never done. And then I've also booked kids music 2 nights, a little bit earlier than San Anselmo Live. So from 5 to 6 p.m. in Imagination Park on 2 Fridays in September, we'll have Tim Kaine there, which will be really fun. And the whole idea of having it in both locations was because the avenue's closed, honestly. And I went down there the first weekend on Saturday, and it was such a cool vibe. The whole downtown was buzzing. The Arts Commission had an art exhibit. There was a store called the Sassy Post that had a charity event. People were out, kids were riding bikes. There was music on both. I mean, when I lived in San Anselmo like 4 years ago, the downtown was sleepy. You know, it was the busiest in the mornings on Sunday mornings, Saturday, Sunday mornings with bikers. But at nights, I've never felt this energy before. And so I'm hoping that the community is receiving it well. I haven't heard too much feedback. So if you guys want to go and let me know what you think, that would be awesome. The one thing that the only piece of like constructive feedback I have heard is, how do we activate the avenue even more, right? Because technically there's only 3 restaurants open. You've got Creekside Pizza, you've got Cucina, and you've got Taco Jane's in between Tamalpais and Tunstead, and that's it. And Wink Optics is open too, which is awesome. I think they've shifted their hours and they have some games out front, but the real question is kind of how do we activate in between those 2 music sites? And that's just something that will come, I think, in time. And hopefully this is a really good foundation for future years. So what I love about this event is it's a no tables and chairs event. There's a lot less staff infrastructure and burden on staff, yet we're also providing a much longer, bigger series of music. So it's kind of a win-win in that way. And then the only thing that's outstanding kind of with this event is, as you guys know, Country Fair Day didn't happen last year. We waited till June 15th and we just felt like we didn't have enough time to pull the trigger, and there were just too many unknowns for an event that big. So we're kind of trying at this point to pivot a little bit and somehow incorporate a mini Cedarsville Country Fair Day, which we won't call Country Fair Day because of branding purposes, into the last evening of the series. So it's a Saturday night. And like Cedars is in to take over Imagination Park and do some art demos. I have the Arts Commission on standby. They might do like some sort of video loop art installation on a projector, either on a wall or a screen somewhere. I might have kids music. I'm trying to get a bubble guy to come out. So just kind of a way to end the series with a big celebration. But I kind of have to think about what it would be named and how we can attract more people downtown. And that event itself doesn't have any funding, so it would be a pretty bare bones event, but I still think it would be worth it. So that's the update on San Anselmo Live. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, I went down the actually Saturday, the 2 Saturdays, and my son was actually up for the weekend, and so we took the whole family last weekend and the weekend before. We went with a smaller group. I just thought it was terrific.
Good.
The energy was wonderful. Just being able to stroll that length of the avenue, I thought it was fantastic. I think you've done a terrific job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you had the same feeling that I did. I'm sorry I missed you that Saturday when we were
Yeah,
down.
I was well, and my son was here and he actually got together with some of his friends from Berkeley High.
Nice.
They came over and it was a lot of fun to be there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's almost like, I don't want to say the new Fairfax, but Fairfax used to be the more happening place, you know, in
Yes.
the evening, the dusk portion of time. And so now I feel like San Anselmo has this draw, which we've never had. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, and the
great.
layout is so nice with the avenue open that way. You know, in Fairfax, you have to make that left turn, if you will.
Yeah,
No, it's just the openness of it. But I agree, if we could get more of the businesses involved and open, it would be good, I think, for them as well as for the town and visitors.
yeah, totally.
Any other comments, any questions for Maddie? By the way, I think the idea of kind of finishing with a bang on that last Saturday is a great idea.
Why not, right?
Why not? Let's give it a try.
Yeah,
No, I think it's a wonderful. So that would be Saturday, would be the 25th of September.
25th, that's correct.
25th, yeah, okay. Good. So everybody, bring your families, bring your friends.
Yes, please.
Bring your neighbors. Good. Okay.
Maddie, what were the dates for the Tim Kaine shows?
Let me pull up, I believe, I want to say the 17th of September, but let me double check. I have the San Anselmo Live page up here.
He's one of my daughter's favorites.
Oh, he's the best. Okay, so Friday, September 17th at 5 o'clock at Imagination Park.
Okay,
And then the next Friday, September 24th, also at Imagination Park at 5 p.m.
perfect.
And how
Thank
about
you.
the Archie Williams Jazz Band?
That's going to be on the 25th. That was the date that they wanted. I was like, perfect.
Oh, gosh,
Gives
that's
us a little
great.
bit more, oomph and bread and butter for that big blowout celebration.
Yeah, that's terrific. Okay. Good. This is exciting. So is Cedars going to be actively involved on that day too?
Yes, so they're gonna set up an Imagination Park, and ideally they're gonna have like a rock painting station, a looming weaving station. Our goal is to get approval to update that piece of art that's on the side of Magnolia, because that hasn't been refreshed in 2 years now. So do that. They'll have a market booth where they're selling the artist within goods, and then maybe an informational booth as well. So they're going to have their little Cedarsville and Imagination Park, which will be
good.
really fun.
Good. Similar to what we did on Country Fair Day?
Yes, very similar.
Okay, that's terrific. Hey, Mike, good to see you.
Hi, Mike.
Maddie was just talking about San Anselmo Live and all the activity on the Avenue the last 2 weekends on Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, I heard quite a lot of it, but for some reason I didn't have audio or a
Oh.
microphone, and my camera wasn't working. And then I don't know if maybe somebody let me in, maybe Danielle, Somebody.
Danielle or Christina.
Christina, thank
Has
you.
the magic touch, right?
All right.
Yeah. So it's just been hugely successful. So very appreciative of all the work that Maddie's put into this.
Yeah, it's great news.
Yeah.
Thanks,
it's
guys.
terrific.
I'll be there this Saturday if any of you guys are around.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes us to fall updates, or did you fold all that in, Maddie?
I'll just give you a quick snapshot on our fall
Okay.
programs, since they're quite different from they were last fall, which I'm excited about because there's some sense of normalcy coming back. So our Robes and Aftercare, we had between like 13 and 15 kids. We started with 7 last October, and we built up to about 13 to 15 a day. We are at 40 kids a day except for Fridays this fall. So we are back to 100% capacity, which is pretty amazing. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it's a beautiful place to be, and we spend almost the entire time outside. So it's
terrific.
safe. We've got a great staff. Lori runs the program. She's got a great part-time staff, but it's a little bit jarring to see those numbers after we had 13 kids a day last year. So a little bit different of a program, but it's proving to be very successful already, which is great. We've got 23 elephants back. They're doing 2 sessions of children's Lion King classes and performances. I think their plan is to do their theater performances at Creek Park at the end of the session, which is really cool utilization of the space for our programs. We've got sewing, painting, and clay back. I've got a virtual computer science class back for 2nd through 4th graders. A program I'm really excited about that we've never partnered with before is called Children for Change. And they're, for the first time ever, running a fee-based program. They're a service-based program that's been, or a nonprofit that's kind of run programs on site at all the different elementary school districts. And it was created by some local San Anselmo moms who kind of felt like their kids needed opportunities to give back to the community, but couldn't really find that anywhere. And so because of COVID and most likely not being let back on the school campuses, they needed to secure additional locations. And because of the location fees and all of that stuff, they had to, actually start charging a fee, which it's not as expensive as some of our other programs, but we'll be hosting that at our Vista room. So that's pretty exciting. And it's for kids 8 to 13. So I'm excited to see how that goes, because I feel like that program has a really good reputation in our kindergarten through 5th community. Gymnastics is back almost full swing. We're not allowing drop-ins this fall, and we are doing gymnastics parties, but we're not allowing any food indoors just because we want people to be masked 100% of the time. And then the only other alteration is all classes are 45 minutes so that Juan and his staff have time between each program to clean instead of them being back to back to back. So other than that, that's fully operational, which is very exciting. And then after school enrichment, I'm operating at about 1/3. I'm operating 1/3 of the programs I usually operate, just to kind of slowly move it back into the school campuses and see how things go. And then on top of that, it's been really hard. I've lost almost all my contract instructors for after school enrichment. So once I get my foot in the door with the school district and we start operating these programs, hopefully I'll be able to find some people either to come back or some new contract instructors to work with. So that's my update on fall programs. If you guys have any questions.
It sounds like a lot's happening.
Yeah,
It's
it's kind of a
terrific.
weird, it's like a great feeling, but it's a weird feeling.
Yeah. Well, it's really a big difference from what it was a year ago.
Huge difference.
It is. It is a huge difference. I think people are ready to get out, be around other people, and hopefully the Delta variant will peak here soon and begin to subside, and we can get ourselves back into a more normal state, but keep our fingers crossed. So are we pretty much fully enrolled, Maddie?
Yeah, everything I would say except after school enrichment.
Right,
That's
right.
the one thing that's operating at a much lower rate, but everything else is rocking.
Is that generally a result because we don't have the teachers or people, the personnel, or is it?
We don't have the teachers, and I purposefully programmed like only 5 classes at each campus instead of 14 or 15, just because I knew that if I did that, I wasn't sure it would be well received by the school district. Like, you're coming in, you want this much space, and there's so many unknowns. And so I want to finesse it a little bit and work out all the kinks, in the fall. And we're also not given any indoor classroom space either. So all the classes are operating at picnic tables, and I kind of want to troubleshoot that. And then that's just, compounded with the fact that I don't have any instructors returning, like my Spanish teacher, my dance teacher, my clay teacher, an art teacher. Like, I pretty much lost everybody except for 4 contractors.
And did they leave because they took other positions or is it?
Some of them I never heard back from. Some of them I never heard back from. I reached, because I went on maternity leave in March of 2 weeks before the shutdown. And then when I came back 6 months later, a lot had changed and I had been out. And so I would say half of them never responded to any of my emails or calls. And the other half, they're short-staffed as they are. So they're bare bones and they're having a hard time hiring. So they can't push any additional staffing at these programs. So that's the issue I'm running into.
Well, hopefully it's been a difficult time for the schools too.
Yeah, totally.
To say the least. And hopefully over these next several weeks into mid-September, things will become a little bit clearer for the school districts as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, we all do, for sure. Any questions for Maddie on any of the programs that she just outlined?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you, Maddie, for all your incredible work. This all sounds really great.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it. I love doing this. It's part of me.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some days, don't get me wrong, where I'm just like, but 99% of them are awesome.
That's all right. That's what makes it rewarding, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about the kids and the community. And I'm just glad we could provide outlets, for these kids.
And
I don't know
that's,
if Danielle's told you, but Greg's got 800 kids in the soccer league.
oh, it's phenomenal.
It's pretty amazing. So I'm glad we can be there to support our families. Everybody's going through a tough time.
Yeah. No.
Maddie,
no.
quick question. Do you do any classes other than Spanish for kids?
I used to do Mandarin, but I lost my Mandarin teacher. You're talking about language classes specifically? Yeah, so I was doing Mandarin, Spanish, lost my Mandarin teacher, and then lost my Spanish teacher. Do you have any suggestions or any contacts?
My wife is getting her degree in French.
Ooh, there we go. I'll take it.
She might like to work with you. Yeah, I was just curious. She is actually at that point where she's trying to decide whether she wants to continue to be an optician or if she wants to teach French.
Cool. You can do a little bit of both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful language.
Well, if she's really interested, have her reach out to me. I'd love to talk to her more.
It'd be terrific. I actually think you'd find a fair number of people that would like to take a French class.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think.
I'll let her
that-
know.
Okay, terrific. Well, again, Maddie, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I hope
Doing a
it's
great
okay if I
job.
stick around for a little bit and see what's going
Yeah.
on.
Okay, well, good. Well, thank you so much for all that you do
So
and,
welcome.
and your fabulous enthusiasm that you bring to it.
You're so welcome. Thanks you guys for all volunteering and spending your time every month, being here.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. Let's see. So that takes us back to parks. Where's Danielle? We haven't heard from AJ, it sounds like. Maybe yes.
We're texting back. He has a conflict with his family. He might try to jump on, so we'll just see if that happens at some
Okay.
point.
So, okay, let me bring everybody up to date on when I sent out the reminder for the meeting, earlier, actually in the middle of last week, we thought we might have one of the high school students apply for one of the youth commissioner positions. They have since withdrawn the application because they just feel that they have too many commitments this school year, particularly this fall. So that's why that's not on the current agenda, just to let everyone know. So let's go to the discussion items. The first one, 7A, is park cleanup projects. So this was an issue that Jan had raised at our June meeting. And I think we all thought that the concept was a very good one. The idea being to have a Saturday a month in which we'd have a group of volunteers working, say, 1 to 2 hours and addressing various projects at the park, whether it's painting dugouts, cleaning things up, issues related to the playground, but drawing upon the volunteers that have turned up for the work that we did on the playground and the skate park. And I had mentioned that meeting that I would reach out to John Merton, who is in charge of Troop 50. And so he has this potential project on their agenda for this month. But he feels that this is a very worthwhile project. So we may get a commitment from Troop 50, we'll see. But Jan, you had mentioned that you might be willing to sort of spearhead this, kind of reach out to the volunteers. See, because I think if we limited it to 1 to 2 hours, just one day a month, and people could pick the day that they wanted to come, if we had, say 6 or 8 people showing up, we could actually get quite a bit done.
Sure.
Would that?
I would be happy to do that. The other thought that I had was I could probably tap into some of my fellow mom friends
Good.
that I think would be also willing to help. But I think the weekend commitment might be tough for them. So could we sometimes alternate between a weekday and a weekend? Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, let's see what works best for people.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
I'm happy to do that and talk with whomever outside of this group or anyone else who's interested.
yeah, I think if anyone else, any of the other commissioners who are interested, if you could just check in with Jan, and then maybe Eric, if you could kind of spearhead it from Archie Williams' perspective, because this would be a great way for some of the students to get community service credit.
For sure. Weekdays wouldn't really work out for that, of course, but
Right.
weekend for sure. I can definitely talk to people and try to get that. Yeah, get some people involved.
Good,
Sounds
that'd be
good.
great. So we can be flexible. What we'll do is we'll set some on the weekend, we'll set some after school. We'll have to experiment and see what works for people.
Okay.
We'll just have very kind of well-defined projects so that when people come, we'll be ready to go just the way you had it for the playground. I mean,
Sure.
that just went so smoothly. And we've got all these volunteers or people who are interested. Let's keep the momentum going.
Let's do it.
Okay, good. And then as soon as I hear back from John on Troop 50, I'll let you know, Jan, but
Okay.
I think I'll know within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, and then I'm also talking with one of the fellows that, actually it's my neighbor, a great guy who works with the Life and the Eagle Scouts. So he's going to be raising it with that group as well.
Okay,
So I'll keep you posted on that front too.
beautiful.
Anybody have any further questions on kind of the park cleanup issues, park work parties? Okay. The next one's Memorial Park. Jan, if anything further happening on the painting? I know things have kind of quieted down over the summer, but what's happening there?
Eileen and I want to say one or two other members of our little subcommittee that was working on the colors met with a professional painter, and it was determined that perhaps we want to go with stain as opposed to paint because of the prep work required for paint, and the amount of time that the stain would last would be longer, and just seemed like it might be an easier way to achieve a similar look to what we were hoping for. So I know Kat and Anne were going to go and get paint stain samples that they'll put up, and then they didn't know if we needed to bring another group out to take a look at them, or if we just find whatever's closest to the color of the shade of blue that was selected with the paint. But I think that's going to be the direction that we go, because it lasts longer. There's less work to do before you put it on, and just seemed to be his professional opinion that he felt very strongly that was the way to go. So,
Okay.
and
And that
that's-
makes sense.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. I know when we were doing the work on the structures, the prep work that would be required to paint them would just be enormous.
Yeah.
And the structures, because they're wood and they're porous, it just doesn't seem to me that paint's going to last very long. It's just going
Right.
to just take a beating. So I think the stain alternative, that makes a lot of sense. Good.
I think I will have to touch base with Anne again, because there was some thought whether or not I think we still want to use volunteers where we can, but some pieces or some
Right.
sections of the playground might actually be painted by the professional painter as opposed to volunteers, just because it would get a little bit too tedious
Right.
to try to manage the project.
Right.
But again, I'll have to check with her on I don't know where financially everything falls and if that's still happening, but I can get a better update at the next meeting for sure.
Okay. Okay, good. Anybody have any other questions for Jan on the playground? Okay. So that actually brings us back to the parks. So I think, Danielle, we should just do the best we can.
Okay, so do you want me to go ahead and do that? So I'll just include it in my program updates, what I know. So basically AJ is not going to come. He does have a conflict.
Okay,
Hopefully he will be here. Will be here next month. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to take any commissioner comments on the parks that I need to, deliver to the Public Works Department. I know that they are ordering new picnic tables. I might have mentioned that last month. And also from Sean, I know that they are going to start the pathway that is on the Help Me Here, Rod.
yeah,
What
this
side of the park is that?
runs from the parking lot in front of the log cabin down to the tennis courts.
That side and in the next 2 months. So as far as the watering of the grass, we did have a meeting with the soccer coaches last week because there's a bit of a discussion, if you will, about priorities and watering in the town and with the drought. And The coaches feel like the grass is too hard and could create some injuries. However, the amount of water it does take to water that park and make a difference because the ground is now impacted and is not retaining the water is significant.
Yeah.
So we met with Public Works and we agreed to, over the next couple of weeks, well, basically this week and next week, water it 4 times a week just to kind of try to get it not so impacted. However, then Sean will be talking to the town council about the priorities throughout the town, including, everything from the, well downtown. He's trying to switch around usage to, the new median that cost the town $1.5 million. And it's not yet, gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not yet taken root. So it is needing water. And then also we have Memorial Park. So that's kind of what's going on with the watering. Do any commissioners have any feedback for me on the parks that I should carry back to Public Works?
I've got a quick question on the, and I understand the problem with it being compacted and the ramifications it has for safety for soccer players. And I don't know what the right timing is for this. It may be in the fall, maybe now, I just don't know, is whether the town has considered aerating the turf. In other words, you run the machine over that basically pulls plugs out. And what it does is it allows that water, instead of running off the surface, to actually seep in and access the roots. But I know we don't have that machine, but
We're going to rent one. We talked
good.
in the discussion, we talked where
Oh,
the
good.
plan is to aerate and to rent the machine to
Perfect.
do so.
Yeah, I think that would make a big difference. One other question, Danielle, in the restrooms, do we know whether Marin Sanitary is willing to pick up more than the 2 times a week?
They have been picking up, they increased their pickups to 2 times a week.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Any other questions for Danielle?
I've got one, Danielle.
Mike.
I don't know if this is something that we've considered or has been talked about. I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if it hadn't been, but I know a lot of municipalities right now are tapping into wastewater, processed wastewater. It's had like a primary and a tertiary treatment. It's pretty clean. And then recycling that back into sort of the ecosystem. To create sort of a sustainable loop of water usage. Is that something that we've talked about at all ever in Marin?
What I'll tell you is that as part of that conversation with the coaches and Public Works, that did come up, and I'm really unfamiliar with the details. However, what I remember Sean saying was that Alexis Feynman is very interested in making sure we also conserve our wastewater in case next year, because next year's a concern as well. And that's the only, I don't really know what the direction of that part of the conversation took. I don't remember. So I can definitely give your feedback to Sean, but I do remember it coming up, and it might be in Sean's report next week to town council. But I'll definitely bring him back that feedback.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Mike, I think this was in connection with the replacing the turf and the irrigation system. There were a couple of ideas that were discussed and actually explored by Sean with the contractor. One was trying to capture some of the roof runoff that we could then use. Another was to try to recycle some of the water that was going to be used as a result of the new irrigation system.
Mhm.
So the issue is out there, but of course, since that low bid was not accepted and approved, at the moment, I'm just not sure what additional steps have been taken on the water issue.
Yeah,
That we'll follow up with Sean and see.
yeah, yeah. We've done rainwater capture before at the wineries up in Napa, and I mean, it actually works pretty well. You got to have a big tank though,
That's the
a
problem.
really big tank. Yeah,
Really,
like hundreds of thousands of gallons in order for it to really make a difference.
exactly. Exactly. So I know that the contractor actually was looking at that issue and had identified, and along with Sean, areas in the park where we could actually site large tanks. So I think when that project goes forward next year, hopefully have some water this winter. That the roof runoff will be part of it, I suspect, and hopefully the recycling aspect will be as well.
Mhm.
But we'll be staying on top of it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Danielle?
I have
Also,
more updates, and that was
Yeah,
just my
okay.
part
okay,
update for you guys.
Yep.
Would you like me to go on to my
Yes.
updates?
yes.
Okay. Just so you know, obviously there's not a finance report on this agenda, and it's that time of year where we don't get our financial reports until the audit's finished. So, I think everyone knows at this point, Helen resigned and has moved on, and we have hired someone. They're not starting till the middle of September. And so we will see how the audit process goes and how quickly it gets done. I'm not sure on the timeline. I will let you guys know when I find out. And then, like Maddie mentioned, we have almost 800 kids in soccer. So our sports programming is doing fantastic. We will be using Ross Valley fields partly, but mostly Memorial Park fields to run practices, and then Red Hill for games. And then we also, Parkside is full for fall as well. Our programming is all really full, like Maddie mentioned. And we are also opening back up adult classes. And so we will reopen Drop-In Mahjong, which is really exciting to our senior population. Of course, everyone will be masked indoors, and we'll take, precautions and put signage up and follow the rules. As far as COVID, we recently had a couple of exposures, and, in the last year and a half when Maddie was out on leave, I handled them, but man, she took up that torch and she figured it out at the new system, because it changes. So it's new, and she got the letter out. So we know the system we're so crowded this fall on how to get the word out, and we'll have to shut down and what rules to follow. And we're in contact with the public health department, or Maddie has been, and she's doing a great job of picking up, of doing what I was doing before. So good job, Maddie. And so we're all ready for fall, all buttoned up, and we will just go forward and do our best to be there for those kids, and we will figure it out as we go. And then the last item I have is the age-friendly strategic plan. Our chairperson had to take care of her family members and was gone for a month. And so that has been pushed back. And at this point, I'm not sure when it will come forward, and I don't want to pressure her until she gets her feet back under her. So when Sarah is ready to let us know a new timeline, I will let you guys know. And that completes my report.
So any questions for Danielle or Maddie about all these wonderful programs? I don't know if people have had a chance to take a look at the fall recreation guide, but we had talked previously about recognizing the volunteers. So now when you open it, there it is. I mean, there's the full page of all the volunteers who participated with the playground and the skate park. There's 70 some odd people on there. And then there's some wonderful photographs on the facing page. So, this is part of our effort to recognize and say thank you to all the wonderful volunteers. So thanks, Danielle and Maddie, for putting that together.
I do want to
Mailed out.
recognize Rob real quick. I'm sorry if I interrupted somebody, but just Maddie and Kevin McLeod, they put that together in-house. We used to pay somebody to design it, and it is just so, they have done such a great job doing it in-house. I'm not sure how we're going to convert that to print when we go back to print, but it is just a really dynamic, if you take a look at it, it's really dynamic. The graphics are great, and the two of them would just work endless hours getting that thing together. So, Kevin and Maddie just amaze me. So,
Yeah,
I mean, you do too, Christina. I'm not leaving you out, but
Thanks, Christina.
So it
Yeah,
wasn't
so
mailed
where
out
it-
though, was it, Danielle? It's just online?
Yeah, go online where it says Parks and Rec right up in the top banner. Drop down to that, and then you'll see the recreation guide. Open it, and there you can go page by page through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that we weren't gonna mail one this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to look because it reminds you of, all these folks that turned out for all those work parties on those two big projects. I mean, it was a great effort. Well, I know that tomorrow is the first day of school for a lot of kids. So I know a lot of people here have things to do tonight. But before we call it an evening, I really want to thank Danielle and Maddie and Christina and the whole recreation department staff for doing really a fabulous job under extremely challenging and trying circumstances. Thank you
Thank
too.
you. Thanks. I
Yeah.
mean, I think I just have to say, like, Danielle led the charge. She pushed our department to keep our doors open in a really safe way. And honestly, in Marin County, we were one of the only few rec departments still operating programs, just in a much smaller capacity. And that was all because of her leadership. So
It
yeah,
makes a difference. Listen, I think, had the best recreation programs in the county for a number of years, and you guys have just maintained that remarkable effort and have done it through just extraordinary circumstances. So we're deeply appreciative.
thanks. I need to attend more meetings. I feel so good about myself right now.
You know what? What you've done has made a huge difference for not just the kids, but for the parents.
Yeah, totally.
Those parents needed to get their kids out and engaged with other children.
Socialized.
Yeah, socialize.
outside,
It's
yeah.
made a big, big difference.
Totally.
It's wonderful what you guys have done.
and
Is
as Maddie has told me, Christina is kicking bleep bleep, doing so much work to get everything done and ready for fall. So, thank you, Christina,
Thanks, Christina.
for everything you do.
It's that work behind the scenes that makes a difference,
It is. It really is.
without a doubt. So is there anything else anyone would like to raise? Anything that we need to put specifically on the agenda? We'll have a full agenda in September, I assure you. And if something comes up between now and a month from now, just let Danielle or me know and we'll get it posted. And with that, I think we're ready to close, and thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. It's a wonderful group. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Christina.